Here's what's interesting about it. What's happening in an HIV positive person is an accelerated, exaggerated form of what happens in virtually everyone that suffers from virtually any disease. Okay? And that happens at what I call ground zero, the most critical piece of tissue in the body, and where that piece of tissue decides whether or not you're going to be healthy or you're going to be sick. And that tissue is the thin layer of mucosa and then the even thinner layer of intestinal epithelial cells. Okay, so there's so much that happens in that one thin layer. We're talking a couple of millimeters thin. Now remember, the gut barrier is only one cell thick. It's basically a bunch of soldier cells, almost like standing side to side like this, lining your entire digestive tract from your mouth all the way down to your anus. Now, the rest of the body and the rest of the epithelial tissue is basically the same. The blood-brain barrier is the same. The barrier that separates the inside and the outside of your lungs are the same. Same thing with the nasal cavity as well. It's all the same epithelial tissue and covered with the same mucosal tissue. Okay, and so most people think that the outer skin, the epidermis, is the largest surface area in the body and it acts as a barrier, but it's not. The true separation of the inside and the outside of the body is that epithelial mucosal layer. Because the orifices that you have, your mouth, your ears, your nose, everything else, allows foreign matter, bacteria, everything in. So your skin doesn't stop those things. All those things get into your body, and the thing that separates those pathogenic viruses, bacteria, antigens, things like that, from entering your serum and circulatory system where they cause problems is the mucosal and epithelial lining. So that is ground zero for health. Now, how your epithelial and mucosal lining react to your environment, your food, and everything else around you determines whether or not you'll have metabolic syndrome, determines whether or not you'll have immune deficiencies and immune dysfunctions, and influences all peripheral tissue. So to summarize it basically, the gut microbiota, the structure, the dynamics, the function results from interactions with the environment, which is the world we live in, and everything else, and the host system, and the host defense system in many ways, many host factors, right? And this jointly influences the communication between the gut and the peripheral tissues. So we're talking about tissues that are completely peripheral to the gut itself. So all your organ systems, your brain, your eyes, your skin, everything else, and this contributes to the development of health or the establishment of risk for disease. And in fact, it establishes programming for disease. Now, that's an interesting concept, programming for disease, because some people, because of the way their epithelial and mucosal layer function, they are programmed to be disease prone
Huh.
because of the cellular expressions.